Hey, MMA fans! It's been a while since we last talked about Ilya Topuria, the Georgian powerhouse climbing the UFC lightweight ranks. Today, we're diving deep into everything surrounding him, his journey to the lightweight throne, potential first title defenses, top contenders, the emotions, the money, pay-per-view dynamics, and what might happen with Paramount versus Disney Plus next year. Considering all the rumors, speculation, and recent fight outcomes, now is the perfect time to break it all down. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you're always first to watch, comment, and interact. Share the content with fellow MMA fans, and if you want to support the channel, memberships or donations are always appreciated. Plus, you get access to UFC fighter emojis like Daily Your to use in comments. Now, let's talk contenders. The names consistently popping up as Topuria's next opponent are Justin Gaethje, Arman Tsarukyan, and Paddy Pimblett. Justin Gaethje. Gaethje is an absolute warrior, one of the most exciting fighters in UFC history. I personally admired him long before the pandemic for the chaos and spectacle he brings to the octagon. But looking at recent performances, there's cause for caution. Out of his last 4 fights, he won 3, yet the key details matter. In April of last year at UFC 300, he suffered a brutal knockout by Holloway in the final 2 seconds, a devastating blow. Then, in March this year, he won a clear decision over Fiziev, who had taken the fight on just 2 weeks' notice. By the 3rd round, Fiziev was visibly exhausted, which raises questions about the quality of Gaethje's win. From a sporting perspective, Gaethje doesn't seem like the ideal contender for a lightweight title fight. The division is extremely competitive, yet currently lacks the same top-end depth we see in welterweight. For example, in welterweight, Islam Makhachev is defending against top contenders. Sean Brady faces Brian Battle, Khamzat Chimaev just defeated Bilal Muhammad, and Leon Edwards is set to fight Gilbert Burns. There's high-level competition everywhere. In contrast, lightweight, at the very top, feels like it's missing that same competitive intensity. Arman Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan, the former top contender now ranked number 2, has had a strong run with multiple consecutive wins. However, his last fight was a split decision that highlighted both his strengths and limits. He dominated with wrestling, but his striking was mediocre, and he had only limited submission attempts that ultimately influenced the judges. Interestingly, his last fight coincided with Gaethje's KO loss to Holloway at UFC 300. Tsarukyan was scheduled for a title shot against Islam Makhachev, but weight cut issues and injuries derailed the fight. UFC then issued sanctions for his previous event mishaps. Since then, he declined a fight against Mateusz Gamrot, but accepted a matchup with Dan Hooker, seemingly aiming to prove himself before earning a real title shot. Tsarukyan is on a decent streak, undefeated since 2022, aside from the Amrod fight, and his defining victory was over Charles Oliveira, the same Oliveira that Topuria brutally knocked out in just over 2 minutes. The contrast is stark: Tsarukyan's grind versus Topuria's quick and decisive finish. While Tsarukyan is technically in line for a title shot based on rankings and streak, he's still not fully ready. Inactivity over a year and a half and a fight against Hooker and Cotter make this a key stepping stone before facing Topuria. Paddy Pimblett, the most talked about contender recently. Pimblett is undefeated in the UFC according to official records, though some feel he lost against Jordan Gordon. Since then, he's improved significantly, defeating Tony Ferguson, though not finishing him, and then mastering a submission against Joe Green. His most recent fight against Michael Chandler was dominant. Pimblett outstruck, controlled, and took Chandler down repeatedly until the fight was stopped. Pimblett is now ranked 6th, largely due to Chandler's standing and Islam Makhachev leaving the rankings. While his sporting credentials for a title shot might still be debatable, his marketability and narrative intrigue make him an appealing opponent for the UFC. He's bigger than Topuria structurally, nearly a welterweight moving down, which could create challenges inside the octagon. The UFC's strategy. UFC decisions aren't purely based on sporting merit. Rankings, streaks, and performance matter, but pay-per-view potential, storylines, and marketability often play a decisive role. Current signs point to Topuria's next fight taking place in January or March, with an estimated 70 to 80% probability that Paddy Pimblett will be the chosen opponent. From a sports standpoint, it may not be perfect. Gaethje is aging and may not have the fire left, and Tsarukyan still needs to prove himself. But financially and narratively, Pimblett makes the most sense, offering hype, intrigue, and a compelling story for fans. Division dynamics. It's clear that the lightweight division isn't perfectly aligned for the ideal contender. Tsarukyan, if he dominates Hooker, will earn his shot, adding more legitimacy. Gaethje has little room to maneuver and is unlikely to secure a title fight soon. Pimblett, while perhaps short on sporting merit compared to other top names, brings size, hype, and entertainment value, elements UFC cannot ignore. Topuria, meanwhile, has shown he can handle elite opposition decisively, and this fight is poised to be both a test and a spectacle. So, in summary, Topuria's path is becoming clear. Gaethje is fading as a contender, Tsarukyan still needs to prove himself, and Pimblett will likely be the next challenger, balancing both competitive challenge and UFC's economic incentives. Fans can expect Topuria to face an intriguing fight, one that combines skill, size, and narrative, the perfect UFC recipe for a high-stakes lightweight showdown. Don't forget to comment your thoughts, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and consider supporting the channel via memberships or donations. Plus, use your UFC fighter emojis in the comments to join the conversation. Topuria and all these contenders are waiting for your take.